flow state is something I've read in a book recently. And to be honest, it's just true. So flow state is basically the feeling that you have that time flies when you're doing a certain activity. For some of us, it may be playing video games or watching a movie. For some of us, reading. That's very rare, but some people have it. For some of us, working out. Some of us just socializing with other people. And during flow state, you don't realize that the time is flying by. It's just flying by. An example of my childhood. This is really shocking to think about because let's say it was 4 p.m. My flow states were at 4 p.m., 5 p.m. I was watching TV and I was so focused to watching TV that I didn't see my dad when he came back from work passing in front of me. So when I put out the TV after like half an hour, I went to the kitchen to see that my dad was there. So I was always like, oh, how did that happen? How did he just teleport there? No, I didn't remark him. I didn't notice him because I was in a flow state. Flow state is where you're just focusing on one single task profoundly. Very, very focused. It's the opposite of multitasking. With flow state, you are feeling like you're in control of the situation. You can complete tasks way quicker. You aren't anxious because you have to do a lot of things at the same time. But with multitasking, your brain constantly switches back and forth between activities, and your brain isn't made for that. And you're starting to feel like you don't have control of what you're doing because you're doing so many things at one time. Your brain can't focus and it just wanders around and starts to give you errors, and you're just overall anxious over your situation. And did you know that multitasking, even if it doesn't feel like that, reduces your productivity by 60% at least, at the very least. So if you're watching, let's say, a movie and you're trying to learn a new skill, to write an article, for example, you're going to be 60% less productive. And it can even increase. And it has also effects on your IQ. It is reducing, I think, at least 10 IQ points, at least. So that is, since every day, that's a big score, because in total most humans have 110, 120 points of IQ. So 10 points, that's basically 8% of your IQ that's just going to wander when you're doing an activity. So you can think profoundly, you can think deeply. You're sitting there just with a fog in your mind, being like saying to yourself what the fuck is actually happening. And last thing with multitasking is that it fries your brain, a bit like scrolling. How does it fry your brain? You know, when you're scrolling, every 2 videos or something, you see something funny. I was almost going to say attractive, I don't know why. It has the same to do with multitasking, because you're constantly giving new dopamine. You're watching 2 minutes in a movie, and after that you say, okay, I'm gonna watch it in the background while I work on that. So you're watching and you're typing, but you don't actually know what you're typing or working at. And this kind of fries your dopamine receptors, if you know what I mean. So how can you achieve flow state? First of all, find an activity that you can enjoy and enter a flow state easily. And second of all, be in a distraction-free space. Be in a distraction-free space. For example, don't go and try to enter flow state to write an article in the living room. Do it in your room, at school, in a study place, places like that where there is no distraction at all, or it's very distraction free. I'll trigger. And I forgot the last topics, to be honest. I've recently read it, but it makes sense. Try to implement this flow state into your life. It's gonna make your life a lot easier. It's gonna increase your productivity. It's gonna reduce your time spending on certain activities, tasks, homework, or jobs. It's just gonna make your life overall at least 20% better. And we all want it, right? And always remember, Khan always delivers.